So many of you guys are asking, but Holly, how do I know what those probing questions are? The whole point of interview prep and the art of interview is you don't want to know every single question that's being asked. How boring is that? Do you guys think that when you get a job at any of those big companies, will you know the position title and the job description and your actual role? You all think it's going to be the same? No, you know already. So the interview process is no different. You don't need to focus on the following probing questions or any of that. Just focus on the 20 questions that I already have written out for you, because those are the most popular questions for all of the companies. Basically, how do you solve a problem with no data? It should be in most of the interview questions, right? If you guys really think about what the interviewer is asking you, you have to look at the data to solve problem. Yeah, you have to figure out what is the cause of the problem initially. Once you figure out the root cause, based on that, the data, the matrix, if you're an engineering leader, maybe your product fall apart. How did it fall apart? Where did it fall apart? How could you prevent it from happening by looking through the data, right? Once you have that down, now create a strategy or plan from scratch. You may not have to create from scratch. What does that mean? Don't be stuck into the actual questions. Take a step back and work backward. You could be an intern, a new grad, or a VP. A lot of the questions are exactly the same thing. So what determines skill levels, right? If you're an intern, they already know you don't have the industry experience. So a lot of your experience are out of academia project. What have you done in school? What did you build in school? If you're a business development student, what was your thesis in, or what did you write about? So talk about things to demonstrate the appetite to learn and your ability to just think big in asking them intelligent questions before you give them an answer, because you don't have the industry experience. So you need to know more about the role. There's a reason why employer asks those sets of questions. Like, tell me about a time when you make a mistake. Of course, you need to be able to make a mistake. Everyone does. Like, tell me about a time when you disagree with your manager or peer. I hope you have those experiences, because no one's perfect. Employers don't want to hire anybody where you don't have any backbone. But when you disagree, how do you handle that? How are you able to handle at a time conversations or discussions? What was your ability to influence? So being influential is huge for every single companies out there, including startups. The most innovative thing you have done, which is walk me through a project that you're most proud of. Here's the thing. When you invest so much time in trying to figure out what the probing question is, in the reality is your answer. The first most important step in creating your story, in acing the job interview, is to create perfect story. There's 10 to 50 ways in asking you one simple question. So I want you to be so good in the most innovative thing, a project that you're really proud of, that you're so excited to share with me, that it can just come out from the back of your pocket without having to memorize things. If you guys try to memorize your story, you will fail. The most innovative thing that you've done is one of the top interview questions. A lot of people fail because even if they have a great ROI, they don't really tell the interviewer how they got there. I will not provide an answer that says I don't have relevant experience. It will turn them off. There's a way for us to word things where the interviewer would appreciate your honesty. Trust me, they would. They don't want their time to be wasted. So I would simply just say, I actually haven't scaled globally in that level, but could I give you an example of a time where I was able to build whatever that may be, efficiency or something along that line? Do you see where I'm going? So do not tell the interviewer of any company that you don't have the experience, versus tell them that you have another example that you would like to share. Sometimes the experiences is completely irrelevant, but for the most time, they really love the fact that you're being authentic with them. My process is really trying to streamline where you don't talk more than 45 seconds, 1 minute max. It is proven because I have helped over 200 people in my coaching cohort or private coaching in 2020 and even most recently. Holly, I have a lot to talk about. It's going to take me a minute just to talk about what problem I'm trying to solve. Okay, so if we're doing market reverse interview, I can help you with that. I can help you where you're so short to the point. It's providing enough breadth and enough depth. You need to know your story, guys. Even a lot of my customer who came to me from private coaching, I will write down word by word to help you memorize your own story. But I don't want you to show up like Holly in an interview. I want you to show up like you. I want you to take what I'm telling you and repeat yourself for about 50 times. Yes, 50 times. If you haven't repeat yourself at least 50 times and you're going in blinded to an Amazon interview, you're setting yourself up to fail. And that's what exactly you are doing. And I'm able to remember my story so clearly because, you know, I've done so many different events and that was the one that hurted me the most. But that was the only time that I failed and I've learned it from that mistake. So you need to figure out an area where you didn't do well. What could you have done to be better? Having the perfect story is one thing, but you really need to spend time in your articulation and your delivery, okay? Delivery is key. Don't try to remember every single thing. Try to remember the important part. In all honesty, I have made every single person in my VIP coaching at the bare minimum 50 times, repeating the entire list of questions. I'm not talking about repeating one question 50 times, you're not learning anything. I'm talking about act as if you are already in an interview full loop like this. You read the questions, you look at the camera lens and you give yourself an answer, then you time yourself. It's a lot of work, right? Yeah, because you're asking me to help you get a job with the best companies of the world. That's what it takes. Perfect stories are excellent, but you need to be able to work on your communication as well, your delivery. Think about your biggest mistakes or a time that you have a lot of regret. All of us have mistakes. I've seen a lot of interviewers who even have more experience than the entire team, than the manager, but they don't get a position at these big top companies because they have never made a mistake in their life. Everyone has made a mistake. What about a time where you could have done better? I have so many failure, guys, so many where, God, I wish I could have gone back and changed the way how I communicate with my leader. I could have hired more quality people instead of wasting a lot of the hiring team's time. Everyone have made a mistake. Think about that, okay? Another point I wanted to make is the employers really want to know what you have learned from your mistakes. What is my biggest achievement? Give me 3. Okay, you're not going to answer all 3, but the more, the better. You need to have enough pockets of the story so that you could pick out which one is the best and then use them when the time comes. If you don't know what is the most innovative thing you have done, you're not going to pass an Amazon job interview. They only hire individuals who are hungry, who can do the job. Are you productive? If you don't have an answer, no one is really looking for 100% expectation that you are going to meet the criteria for the role. But what are you going to do if you don't have the experience? Are you someone who's eager enough to go find an answer? Some of you have asked me to make videos on how to pass the Google, Microsoft, and other tech companies interview process. Here's why I cannot stop preaching about the Amazon behavioral questions and the leadership principle. I have worked for startup and multi-billion-dollar companies outside of Amazon where I've seen their mission values or core values are almost identical to Amazon. And when it comes to behavioral questions, there may be a tiny bit of a difference, but in theory, they're all the same. So behavioral questions is a great way for an organization to measure your experience to see how well you fit into their environment. Companies may ask interview questions a little bit differently, but in the end, the questions are all the same.